Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast 178. Top of the week to you, my friends. Hey, thanks so much. I got some really great emails this past week. Podcast 177, though reality, sure brought in a lot of really quite a bit of cool comments and a lot of support. So thanks for doing that. I'm grateful. I'm also very grateful for my sponsors, Bedford's Camera. It's bedfords.com. They make it possible for me to bring you the Moose Podcast and do so much more, and they do a lot for you. For example, PhotoCon's coming up here in a week. It's going to be a great event. You need to get there. Lots of great inspiration, education, socializing with other like-minded folks, and of course, lots of fun toys to check out with all the different manufacturers at the expo. So make sure you check out PhotoCon. And when you check out on the website or on the phone, make sure you say Moose to get your special discount. Free shipping over $99, and for most states, no sales tax. Hey, save you money so you're getting ready for that great summer adventure. Well, let's get right to this week's topic, the filter. I have a good friend, and I talk about him quite a bit because I shoot with Harry quite a bit. In fact, he says he keeps threatening he's going to start billing me for all my ideas that I get from our shooting together for the podcast. And this week, it's another thing that, in our many conversations, kind of brought up the topic, the filter. No, I'm not talking about a haze filter, a polarizer, a 10x filter. Rather, I'm talking about the filter that we all use when we look at our photographs and make judgment calls, whether it's good or bad. Keep or delete, share or bury. You know what? That filter that we have, after talking with Harry, I asked myself, where do photographers get this filter in which they look through to judge their photographs? Now, there's lots of stuff out there online, in magazines, in books. And, the main filter most people use is composition. That gosh awful word that I just really wish photographers would forget about, because they use their filter of composition. Most of the times, photographers just don't understand composition, what the quote-unquote rules are that are set forth by like artists or in commercial spaces. And the definitions that are put out there often on the web are really loosey-goosey, and, they just don't apply. And so many photographers use them, and some really great photographs are just not, getting out because of the filter. The photographers look at them and say, no, this is not good. Now, I mentioned the editorial marketplace over and over and over again, and this is another place where being in the editorial marketplace would give you the filters to look at your images and really make some, important discoveries, make some real great insight into your own photography to help yourself improve it. So first and foremost, let's just start with some of the basics, all right? How about just the way the photograph is exposed, okay? Now, what filter do you use to determine whether your picture is correctly exposed? Because if you are starting to answer that, then I just caught you because I said the word correctly exposed. Now, there is no correct. There's a lot of definitions, but I've seen a lot of those quote unquote correct by definition photographs go by an editor, and the editor goes, yuck, because what is technically correct and what is emotionally right are two big things. And if you're in the business of visually telling a story, that photograph that's emotionally right on is always going to beat out the one that's technically correct. Now, how do you tell that? Well, you got to look at a lot of photographs, a lot of them in print. start getting a measure of what the experts, those people who buy photographs and sell photographs to the public to get a message across. It's from them you're going to start learning what is the best exposure. And I've talked about this before, many different podcasts. So that's where you start. How about color? I'm surprised still how there is no, a really great guide to help photographers with color. Now, color is, very subjective, first of all, and can be changed and manipulated by everything from exposure and filters to post-processing. But what is the anchor for color to sit there and help you learn this is good or bad color? You can start by just going with the color is black and the color is white. Now, I'm not saying black and white photography. I'm talking about looking at a black in your color photograph or your white in your color photograph and start learning to go off those two anchor colors. That might help you get there. But there's a lot of things that, you can do yourself when it comes to color. And if you're not really up on your game, you might not notice it. And if you have been using the wrong tone curve, you've been using the wrong color space, any combination of those things, your color could be wonky. And wonky color, while the mind doesn't say, that's wonky color, the mind does say there's something wrong there. And from that, you have issues, right? And there's a lot more things that go into your filter to judging that photograph, good or bad. But I want to get to one that might make, a difference in your photography. A good friend, a really good friend, great shooter, we all call him Vertical Bob. Well, he's a really great guy. And we call him Vertical Bob because he shoots a lot of verticals. And that's because one of his passions, and this is truly one of the more unique ones in photography that I have ever come across, are cranes. I'm not talking about sandhill cranes or hooping cranes. I'm talking about those big, giant 50-story cranes that lift up, massive buildings and construction projects that you see all around the country, around the globe. He's into those things, and he's really good at photographing them. How good? I think he's up to 14 covers in the last 18 months, something like that. I mean, seriously, that's a lot of magazine covers for a subject of cranes. Now, why am I bringing this up when it comes to the filter? Well, he says it was something I said that got him started, and he always credits me for the success, but really it's all on him. But basically, when you photograph something and you turn your camera vertically or you're shooting horizontally, either one, but if you're going for magazine covers, you're going to be shooting vertical. The actual format of our sensors does not equal the format of a magazine cover. The dimensions are different. So if your photograph is going to work on that cover, then you have to arrange the elements in the viewfinder accordingly. And not only you have to figure out and lay it out for the right dimensions, the width and height of the cover, but there's other things too, from barcodes to the magazine title to all the subtitles that go on the front of it, that you have to leave space for and still have your photograph come out and, basically grab the viewer, especially on the newsstand, to want them to pick up that magazine and buy it. Well, if you were to listen to any of those compositional blah, blah, blahs that you hear, you're never going to get your photograph on a cover. Well, that's because simply when you listen to all that blah, blah, blah compositional stuff, you're going to sit there and put things in a place in your file, in your photograph, that the editor won't be able to crop it in any way, sense, or form to put it on the cover of a magazine. Now, right, if you're not into, getting $2,000, $3,000 for your photograph on the cover of a magazine, then this is all a mute conversation, right? Because silly me, why would you want to go get paid for your craft and your passion? But let's just say, for a giggle's sake, that, $2,000, $3,000 payday intrigues you. So then your filter that you go by to decide that photograph works or doesn't work is going to change, okay? And it's going to change so you can make money, right? I mean, put it right there on the table. Now, does that mean that if you take that photograph for that cover and you don't get the cover, you go down in flames? Oh, heck no, okay? Not even. Does it mean that you change what you're doing? Well, that's up to you. I would, if their goal is still that payday. But more to the point is, the filter in which you judge your photograph as being worthy, I think needs to be vastly expanded. Just that one filter that photographers have, the first one we're going to start with, I like or don't like. The second one, is it going to get likes or doesn't get likes? Maybe that's not enough of a broad way of looking at your photographs so you, as a photographer, grow. And that's really the point here. If your filter is just that one and you never change it, how are you going to change as a photographer and grow to expand to be even better? So you need to have more filters. In other words, you need to have more categories. You need to give yourself more of a break. You need to have more latitude, however you want to look at it. Now, how do you start getting to that point? Look at other photographs. Don't look at photographs on the web, okay? Don't. Go someplace where the photographs have already gone through a very important filter, that of a very qualified eye, that of a person who knows how to put stuff out that tells a visual story. Start looking at magazines. There's some marvelous places all around this country. You could have a little cappuccino. You could have a couple magazines. You could sit there, relax. You could look at them for half an hour, 45 minutes. You could take some notes. You might even buy a magazine or two. And you'll start getting ideas of how the people who want to sit there and buy images and put them out there filter what they see so you see what they want you to see that makes you turn the page and get involved in that story. And perhaps you will start expanding the filter in which you look at your own images. And I bet serious money that you're going to find photographs already in your files that you probably kind of gave the to. But after you expand your world, you might go back and see those filters and go, whoa, there's some diamonds here that I did not see before. And that's strictly because the filter you use to make the judgment call about your own photographs. I'm not about to put down these all these different ways people have of trying to help you with crits and portfolio reviews, things like that. But understand that is at the very, very most a single snapshot of your photographic passions, desires, and career. And it's really needs to be much greater expanded. And then understand that that's still just a little time capsule of what you have done, not what you're doing or what your potential is. So as you sit there and look at those images, don't be so hard on yourself. Think a little more clear, and perhaps expand the filter in which you look through to make the judgment call that photograph is a good photograph. I think you'll find you have a lot more than you thought, and that in itself will help you move your photography forward. That's really what it's all about. Well, daylight saving time is here. A little darker in the morning, light stays lighter. I don't think the critters know any different. They just go about their normal thing, but it does give you more time after work to go out there and photograph them. So I hope you do just that. And every time you go out and do it, Remember to make every click your story.